and thank you for joining us for ICONversations. The ICON program is designed to celebrate our company's top producers. These agents have not only exceeded capping status, but have also reached exceptional milestones, earning them various stock grants and the opportunity to earn back their paid company dollar. Today from Alberta, we have Ryan Weary. From Florida, we have Brian Stevens. From Pennsylvania, we have Ryan Tesey. And from BC, all the way from Canada, our amazing moderator is Serge Simpson. Serge, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Looking forward to having a fantastic, open, raw conversation with people who have succeeded at EXP and outside in their personal lives. So I guess the first thing I would like to start from left to right on the screenshot. We're gonna do a quick introduction, give us a little description where you're from, how long in real estate, how long with EXP, and any other highlight or two you would like to mention about yourself. Ryan, please take us away.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan Tesey, Northeast Pennsylvania. I'm in the Scranton area, so if you guys ever watch The Office, that's kind of the area I cover. Been in the business, this is my 7th year, all 7 years with EXP, so I don't know anything else. I love it here. I'm a 6-time icon, mostly residential is what I work with, everything from, new first-time home purchasers all the way through new construction, land, kind of do it all in my area. And I'm a solo agent, and I just have a admin that works with me to help. And last year we were involved in 75 transactions, so high volume. Yeah, that's me.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Ryan. 75 deals with admin, solo agent. Definitely, you're putting in a lot of hours. So thank you for the intro, Mary.
Hey, Serge, Mary isn't able to make it today, so why don't we just skip over to the next person?
Sounds good. Do we have Brian in the house yet, or he's missing for now too?
He's on his way. When he comes up, I'll go ahead and I'll cue you and let you know that he's here.
Awesome. We will go straight to the most handsomest agent in Medicine Head, Alberta, Ryan Weary.
Thanks, Serge. What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm in Southeast Alberta. Been in the business 7 years now, 6-7 years. Been with EXP for probably 5 of those. And I was on a big team for the first probably 5 years of my career, actually. I just switched to solo agent about a year ago, in Icon last year, which was great. And yeah, just super pumped to be here. Hopefully can drop some value. And I just, in terms of my philosophy, I just try to do as many deals with as little time as possible put in. I don't have an admin or anything like that. So it's just a one-man show, and hopefully can drop some value today.
Awesome, Ryan. Thanks. Definitely you have a lot of experience. I think it'll be an interesting conversation for everybody to listen from the outside. This real estate agent, Ryan, he, like you said, he went from the mega team to being a solo. I think everybody kind of maybe would like to find out what led to those decisions. But Ryan, share with us what keeps you awake at night today when you are 7 years into real estate, 75 deals. Let's go raw. And what keeps you awake at night?
So we'll go a little deep on that. I would say making sure I have enough hours in the day with my 4-year-old. Making sure I'm able to delegate time to my admin and to some agents, buyer agents that I work with, and referrals, just so I can keep having time with my son. He's 4. So to me, that's super important. So it goes back to the business and structure of making sure my time is dedicated to money producing activities and everything that's not delegating that out. So I can keep that time, but that's what keeps me up.
Hey man, thank you for sharing that. And what I'm hearing is that you figured out your why. And unless you know your why, you probably, correct me if I'm wrong, you probably wouldn't be able to come to that structure that you need to have in order to be there for your son, be there for yourself, for your family, and I'm assuming the admin person feels like family because they're ride or die who's right there with you putting those long hours. So that's fantastic. Share us a little bit about your structure. What are those money-making activities that you choose, the top 3 priorities through the day and the week?
So you're 100% right. Just to touch on the why, you have to find your why to have your motivation to get up on those days where no one's telling you, go make contacts, go out there and try to make money, right? So you have to have a why. And when that why is in front of you, you get up and you know what you're getting up for and what you're putting your focus on and why you're putting it there. So it is super important. If you don't have your why, you need to go sit down, meditate on it, and figure out your why. That's your underlining motivation to get you where you need to be. So you're 100% right on that. Structure wise, money producing activities is going to be making contacts. I don't do many cold calls. I work my sphere, past clients, and it's everything touching base with them. You know, we just had the big baseball tournament. So I reached out to every past client, not every, but a lot of past clients that I know are into baseball and ask them if they're watching the tournament. You know, the big games against the Dominican Republic, the big game, obviously the championship game against Venezuela. And then again, I just hit it again with the March Madness starting. So to me, that's a money producing activity that's going to keep me in their mind fresh. You know, I'm not bringing up real estate to them. I'm bringing up something we have in common. You know, we both like baseball. We both like basketball. I'm going to connect there because they already know what I do. So that's a money producing activity that I focus on, is that my direct contacts with my database. So that's number one. That's my most important one. And then business just comes out of that, you know, the contacts. Then they may say to me, hey, by the way, I have so-and-so looking for, I'm going to connect you with them. Great. That's awesome. Thank you. And that happens. I mean, it just happened once last week and once today, but today was a rental, but last week was a sale. So it just happens. But it's a money producing activity example that I focus on primarily. Activities that I like to delegate out is a lot of my sky slope stuff. Anything with organization, my emails that go out once we go under contract, my admin handles all that. So, you know, hey, next steps in the process, where we're at in the process. That's all delegated through her. And a touch on that, yeah, she is like family. She's the backbone to my business at this point in time where we're at. So yeah. And it was very, you know, I'll touch on this too. It's a little off, but it was very difficult to make that step and have an admin, because my original perspective was, well, I could do all that stuff. Why do I have to have someone do it? And then attending EXP cons, it really opens you up when you listen to speakers and about delegation and taking that step forward to make that move when you get to a certain point in your business. And then for me, my time is more valuable spent elsewhere. And if it costs me a couple bucks, it's fine. But it helped me get to that next level of where I was trying to achieve. But it's scary making that step. So if anyone's ever thinking about making that step, you can definitely reach out to me. I could talk you through it. Well worth it. Looking back, I should have did it probably a year and a half prior to when I did do it. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
That is awesome, man. Thank you, brother, for sharing this openly. I wanted to hit on one point for anybody who's maybe listening out there and missed that Ryan figured out the way. A lot of times I hear a lot of agents talk, well, what do I say when I call and over and I schedule the calls to touch base with them? What do I call? I'm just checking in. I made a note here and I wanted to check in with you. Are you ready to buy or ready to sell? Ryan is not doing that. He is actually reaching out completely outside of real estate, something that may be happening on social or on TV. That is a brilliant take on the lead gen, nurturing your future deals. Fantastic. point, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Ryan W, give us a little something. What keeps you awake at night?
It's a good question. And I think, transitioning from team to solo, there was a lot of fear there. But as of what keeps me up, and this has not changed in the entire time I've been in the business. But just when things are slow, maybe you get a slow month, slow couple months, or maybe things just aren't coming together. There's always worry in the back of your mind, like, hey, can I actually repeat what I did last year, or was last year a fluke? Even though if you stack the years up and you look back, there's no evidence to support that this year is going to be any different. But just when things do get slow, that's where I always will not spiral, but I just have to catch myself and be like, no, this is just a blip. Just continue what you're doing. And my whole philosophy is that we're not in a house selling business. We're in a human relationship business. So anything I try to do, whether it's on social, whether it's even in an open house, I just think like, hey, how can I provide value or good information to people over and over and over with truly not expecting anything in return? And the more I think of that and the more I can be creative with those ideas, the more business naturally comes to me. And I just try to think like, okay, if we're in a business where the majority of agents fail, you hear stats, depending on where you look, 85% of agents don't make it to year 5. It's like, well, then why would we do the things that average agents do if that just leads to failure? So I always try to look like, hey, if I need to get busy, how can I pour into either current relationships, or how can I earn new relationships in my community? And I know that if I just keep doing that and focus on that, then business will come from it. So it's easy to do, in my opinion, when you're busy. A lot harder to do when you're kind of down in the dumps. But I've just accepted that's a feature of this business, is going through slow times. It's not anything that we need to like actively try to change. It's just the way it is. And the more I wrap my mind around that, the easier it is to kind of get through those slower times to then really take advantage of when things are rolling.
Thank you, brother. Can you confirm if what I heard you say, you detached from the result and you're falling in love with the process?
Exactly. Yeah. Like I think of it this way too. This is a bit of a, exaggerated example, but like if you had two options, if you had $1 million to spend on advertising in your community, or you had the option to be best friends with every single person in your community, I'd rather pick the best friends route, because there's going to be so much business there just from having proximity to people and having a relationship with people. So I think that's where, some agents, and I was guilty of it too when I started, it's like, hey, how can I get that next transaction? How can I get these buyers that I'm currently working with to buy a house? How can I get that next listing? And I think that's a very dangerous way to build a business. And I think you're going to ebb and flow a lot more drastically thinking of it that way, as opposed to like, hey, how can I provide value to people, whether that's information on your community, whether that's, just reaching out to people, taking them out for lunch with no expectation in return. And I think that's the true difference.
Ryan, speak to me about those voices that you hear in your head. You said a fear of, and then you pay attention to that. What do you do? How do you handle those voices?
Couple ways. Whenever, because usually in my market, we get pretty slow January, February. And in the past few years when I have been slow, I've usually just written down, or just, I just have it in my notes in my phone, just how I feel. And then a couple months later, I'll look back at that and I'll be like, well, none of that was true. All those worries about like, oh my gosh, am I going to do, enough deals this year to keep it going? Like none of that came to fruition. So I try to stack like statistics that way for me, to where if I am slow, like this time of year right now, I can look back at that note and be like, oh, I felt the exact same way, a year ago And then all of a sudden my April, May were unbelievable. And, I was so busy. I was stressed because I was so busy. Right. So just kind of documenting that stuff, I think is really helpful. And then also just, I think during our slow times, I think we probably will be too hard on ourselves instead of actually trying to enjoy those slow times and actually, I would say put more love into ourselves. And, I have a 2.5-year-old, just like Ryan has a 4-year-old. Spending time where I know, like, hey, if I do my job correctly, business is going to come to me. And I think it's just getting those reps where, things do all work out, and then just making yourself reminders of how you felt previously and how you got through that.
That is awesome. And, guys, what I heard, one thing that stood out to me is, like Ryan said, instead of being too hard on yourself, I had to learn it, just quick share. I had to learn that about 5 years ago myself, and it was beautiful, just self-observation, just, being open and figuring out this was beautiful. And the situation was where it was August. I was just exhausted. We were doing lots of deals. By the time the August hit, it was a little slower. People on the beach. I was tired. I was getting to the point where I didn't want to move off the couch. I was watching Olympics, which was like, again, the previous Summer Olympics. And I felt like I'm almost getting depressed. And I'm also at the same time beating myself down. You lazy, log, get off the couch, put some shoes on, go for a walk, go into the gym. I mean, I live for the gym, but I wasn't in the gym for 4 or 5 weeks. And then I glanced outside and I saw a beautiful tall tree. I looked at that tree and I thought, well, this beautiful tree, it loses all its leaves in the wintertime. It's kind of looks, depressed in the winter, but then it comes back, looks beautiful, new growth, everything. And I actually applied that, and the weight came off my shoulders. We just like living trees. We go through these moments. We have to give ourselves a break. So yeah, I agree with Ryan. We have to be easier on ourselves when we're actually feeling down, and then just knowing that doing small things, moving the right direction, you will be okay. So we have those moments, we have those seasons. Thanks for sharing, Ryan. Ryan W, I guess, Ryan from Alberta. Ryan from Pennsylvania.
Hey, real quick, can I touch on that really quick?
Yeah, please add.
Awesome. So last year, typically in my career, right before Christmas, it slows down. It's nice to get a lot of December to relax. Last year, I didn't have that, going from the full year. So I missed my January reset, missed all that. This year, I got it again. And I was so appreciative of that time to be able to work on myself, to be able to just reset, hang out. Sometimes it takes you to lose that, to realize it. And I'm going to make it a point for, next winter coming up, like this December, January, that I do take that little bit of relaxing and just not as much work, because it is so important that you have that. Like I said, I just went through it, so I agree 100% on that. I think it's very important. Sometimes it just takes the experience to go through it and realize it.
Great that you mentioned that, because you know what? I think we're just inundated with all of this social media BS that's hitting us from every corner, that like, hey, come on, grind, get down there, do this more. We're seeing somebody else that may be doing something and they're successful. And we just kind of get influenced by that. But actually realizing that in real estate, if we can allow ourselves to take that time to reset, that we're going to show up better for our families, number one, better for our colleagues in the office. If you have a team, if you're a leader, you're going to show up better. So all of that hard lifting and hard work has to take place as well, not just in the office, but in your own time. Share with me, guys, both Ryans, what do you guys do to reset?
Hey, guys, I just did want to mention that I've been here about 15 minutes. I jumped in right on time. So I just want to make sure. This is Brian Stevens.
Brian, thank you. Thank you for jumping in. We are just kind of going deep here on some of the things that you probably can add. So if you've listened, anything, please add.
Yeah, no, I think that's been fantastic. I've been licensed for 30 years. And so, this business ebbs and flows. And, at this point, nothing keeps me awake at night, but kind of coming back to what you all were talking about. I think sometimes when you have a busy week, you're negotiating a contract, you've got a listing or two coming, getting up early and trying to get grinding early, staying focused, staying locked in will get me up earlier than sometimes I want to. So it's not so much the staying up late at night, but it's waking up earlier going, okay, got to get this stuff done. So, but do enjoy the slow time when it's slow. And when it's a slow time, it's a time to work on your business instead of, in your business, right? Work on your processes, your systems, work on fine tuning stuff that you can't do when you're in the weeds. So, and take, I say take time off. We all have to have boundaries in our life. And these other two great agents have younger kids. Mine are 24, 23, and 19. So I'm coming into a different season of life where it's, able to do a little bit more if I want to and what have you. So, but all in all, it's a great business and you just got to enjoy the moment.
Thanks for adding that, Brian. I would like to actually touch on this. This is a great business. Tell me, guys, did you love doing real estate from day one? And every month, every year at the beginning, you're like, I love this business. I love what I'm doing. Or did you have different experiences? Ryan T.
I love it. I'll be doing this forever. I came from Verizon, district manager from those guys, salary plus bonus incentive. So a little bit of a corporate background, and coming over to real estate and with EXP specifically, at that time, 7 years ago, they let me run it the way I want to run my business. Meaning if I'm going to put long hours in, I'm going to be rewarded for it. They give you that freedom. And when I say love, I mean, I love working in real estate. I cannot see myself doing anything else. Doesn't matter. We have bad days in any company. And me specifically, before I worked at Verizon, I hopped around. Where I'm at is a blue collar area. So a lot of factories. I hopped around through some factories and I look at, there's a saying out there. And for me, it's true to the stone. It's going to be my best day working there doesn't compare to my worst day working in this industry. That's how much I love it. So sometimes I remind myself when I'm having a day, I call it tracking through the mud, where I'm just constantly getting obstacles and I have to track through them. And still the progress meter only goes a little bit. And it could be any kind of issue in any deal, as we all know from having deals. It could be anything. And you have to go get that done just to process the next step in the transaction. And I have days where I get hit with 4 or 5 of those and it, derails my day. And those are the days I'm tracking through the mud and I'm like, hey, this is still, I still love it. And it's still better than what I did in the past. And this is what I'm going to keep trucking for. So I love it, to answer your question.
So touch a little bit more on that attitude and this conversation, that conversation you're having in your head. When shit goes sideways, you somehow manage to stay positive. Where's that coming from? Where's that heavy lifting's been done that you can do that?
Yeah. So when I worked at Verizon, it was during the time of flip phone transition over to smartphone. So I've been told I have patience of a saint. That was and people may overlook that very briefly, but when you're in that industry and you're helping grandparents, even regular parents, switch over from a flip phone to a now smartphone that they have to touch screen, those are 2 to 4, 5 hour sit downs with them, and having the patience to come up and develop different ways to explain it.
This is amazing.
I just look back on those and like people always ask me like, "Wow, I never stressed in real estate." I'm like, no, there's so many other things that you could be doing that's tougher. Like this, I just think about that thought. I'm just like, oh, I'm good. Like it's just a really easy moment of clarity for me. It's almost automatic at this point,
And I'm just going to interject and love what you're sharing. And right away, I have a visual of that commercial. I think it's Budweiser commercial where there's a ref just getting screamed and yelled at on the field, and the football field. And the commentator's like, look at his just composure. Where did he get all this training? And then they show a scene at home. He's sitting on the couch and his partner's kind of giving him a little gears.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you seen that one?
I haven't, but it sounds perfect. It's a great analogy.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, thanks for sharing that, right, T.
Absolutely.
The Ryan W, give me a little bit of a breakdown. Well, I guess no, the same question. Tell me about this love-hate relationship in this business. Touch on that, please.
Yeah, sure. And like I feel, to be brutally honest, like I love the real estate business from what it has done to my life. I tell people that if you can do real estate, it's truly a life hack. Like there's nothing else I can think of that can basically put a rocket ship on your life. That real estate can. So I love that aspect of it. But like, do I love real estate in terms of transactions? I don't mind it. But I came from a corporate background, 9 to 5, worked for a big corporation, and I got my real estate license, and I was basically just doing deals on the side. And I immediately fell in love with like helping people. Whereas, I was serving one person, which was my boss, and I was helping him build his life. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I do that for myself? And real estate was the easiest vehicle that I could think of to help me do that. So I love that aspect of it. I would love to just play golf more, if I'm being honest. But I think of real estate like almost fueling my life from the bottom, as opposed to, because I see a lot of agents where real estate kind of dictates their life from the top down, and that's the last thing I would want to have happen in my business. And probably some folks in the audience are like, well, easy for you guys to say you got a ton of business and I don't, and blah blah blah. And I've been there too. And it's just, I would encourage people to think of real estate as like, hey, how can I use this vehicle, this business to elevate my life? And to me, when I look at it that way, it's a lot easier to stay motivated, whether it be grinding through the tough times, giving myself grace, or when things are going good, then really doubling down and being like, hey, things are going my way. There's some momentum behind us, which I think is a real thing. Like, let's keep going. Let's double down. I'd rather work way more when I'm busy because things are going good, as opposed to, really putting on the gas when things are slow. So yeah, like I love the business. I don't think there's anything else that I could be doing that would be better, but I'd rather be in Phoenix on a golf course every day, but that'll happen soon enough. So
that's right. Well, you're working hard. I can see it from the outside, and it will happen for you really soon. Brian, share with us, you've been 30 years in the business. Ryan just said something, how real estate can elevate my life. Tell us, please, share with us from your experience, how did you implement the resources that you received, the rewards that you received from real estate career? How are you managing? How are you growing your wealth, basically?
Yeah, my dad was a home builder for 25 years. So I kind of grew up in a model center and, then get my license. So it was kind of a natural thing to do. And so I do love it, man. I got, business in my blood, and it's just great helping people, bottom line, and then when you do focus on that, lock in on it, that's the key. Couple things, being in this business a long time, just tips and tricks for some of the newbies, hey, save your money for your quarterly estimated tax payments, right? Hey, been there, done that, had to scrounge up to get X amount of dollars to pay my taxes when I didn't do that. And so one side note of, again, made that error. And then secondly, part of your commission, of course, you can buy EXP stock at a discount. However, also do some investing whenever you get a chance, 10, 15% of your checks, whatever you can do, and start to save that away, because you hear too many stories of real estate agents retiring and not having any wealth, right? Or anything, or rental properties or what have you. So just begin to do that too, because, we're self-employed and there's nobody putting up 401k money for us. So we've got to do that ourselves. So to build the wealth that, you want to have an off-ramp to this business at some point. So just begin to do that also.
Okay, that's great. And to add to Brian's point that you have to set some of that aside, your real estate portion of your real estate commission needs to be set aside, obviously to IRS or CRA in Canada. But what I've learned in the past, you need to have a rule, a personal rule that you shouldn't break. That every single time you get that commission check, you deposit it into 4 different accounts minimum. What I mean by that, guys, and I bet you there's ICON agents on here who are not doing that, and they're finding themselves in a bit of a trouble because they are leaving all that money in one account. So what 4 accounts are? Well, first of all, you have to get paid yourself. So you have to identify what are you going to get paid for that transaction and get paid first. Then you leave money in the operationals account, or first you actually, second account that goes to CRA or IRS. Third account, you are doing that investment, as Brian said. And then fourth account, your, well, I think so operational costs to run your business. So 4 accounts, it's a minimum. That's the way it's always should be with every check. I have that practice that at the end of the month, just like I sit down to get all my bills paid, I take all of my EFTs, I add them up, I see what I actually got paid, and then I do a distribution. So anyways, great tip. Ryan from Alberta, I've been watching you sharing with people your journey of growing your personal net worth through investing into real estate. Give us Cole's notes of what are you doing and why are you doing that?
Yeah, so I'm not a very smart guy. I'll be the first to admit that. And I've realized, much like what Brian was saying, like no one's coming to save us, when we retire. So, I've had the fortunate, benefit of having some good years. And I just think to myself, like, hey, like if I don't want to do this forever, there has to be some type of passive income coming. And I've kind of found a bit of a niche in my own market. It's going to be different in every other market, but like I know I can't compete with the big dogs that are buying 24 unit buildings, nor would I ever be in a position to stack up that much cash to do something like that. So my goal is kind of like every year to buy one small multifamily property, and they're not going to cash flow a bunch, but it's almost like my way of almost hiding money away so I don't see it. And so that I know that money down the road is going to be there. The property is going to be paid off. So I love duplexes and fourplexes. That's just where I feel like there's less competition in my market, and also it's attainable for me, and it's a good goal that I can stack up that amount of money, whether it's 20% down or 25% down, and go about it that way. And I always keep an eye, like much like what Serge was saying, like I have a separate account that I'll put money in and just stack it over the year with the intent of like, if I find the right deal, I'm going to have that cash available. And I think, at least in my market, cap rates and all that stuff, it just, no deal's really going to make total sense. But I think of it more as a long-term play. If I can accumulate some rentals, I manage it myself. I don't think it's that much work, to be honest. And again, it's a good way to meet people, whether you have tenants that turn into buyers, or there's a lot of trickle-down benefits that way. So I like the fact that, in our business, we have the benefit of maybe seeing deals before they hit market, or we know of people that are looking to offload. Like this last duplex that I just removed conditions on, it was just a friend of mine, and I just kept bugging him like, hey man, if you ever think of selling that thing, like call me. And it took 2 or 3 years for that property to finally come up where he was considering it. And I'm like, yeah, for sure, I'll step in, because I was ready for it. And I think that's a good way to build long-term wealth. It's not the only way, but at least it makes sense to me. Like, yes, investments are important, put money into the markets, important, stocks, blah, blah, blah. But if I'm being honest, I don't understand that world enough. And I'll have people help me with that. But I like real estate. We're in that business. We have the opportunity to get good deals or fair deals. And I think that's, in my opinion anyways, if we're in that business, we shouldn't be investing in that business too.
Guys, pay attention to a couple things from Ryan. he's intentionally identified, consciously and intentionally identified what he is good at. I preach that every day when I talk to people myself. I don't invest into anything that I don't understand. Brian doing just that. We are all professionals and specialists and advisors about the real estate world. We are perfect individuals and candidates to actually do our own investment. And then I don't know if Ryan is doing that consciously or unconsciously, but he's recording that all on social media, and he's actually diarizing his journey on social. What it does, and what I wish more agents would be doing that, because everybody wants to in real estate work with the investors, but not everybody is actually targeting investors. When we're cold calling, people to pitch some residential to them, maybe some commercial if you're on commercial and stuff, but maybe we're not working directly attracting investors. Ryan's showing that he's an investor himself. He's talking about it, and people who are interested potentially to become investors, invest in real estate, they're all going to notice that unintentionally. Then they're going to reach out to Ryan.
Yeah, so, Serge, just to like a few examples there, and this is my take on social anyways. Like, I never want to be that guy like where I'm like, hey, I help investors buy Medicine, like reach out to me. Like, I think that's kind of gross, honestly. Like, there's too much of that. So like last year, I didn't really want to do this. It was just a weird situation where I had to flip a property. I'm like, hey, I'm going to document this whole thing and make a series where I can post it on Facebook, Insta, and YouTube about like the whole process. And sharing that, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had because of that. Or I run into someone, they're like, oh, hey, I saw you flip a property. I'm interested in doing that. Like, can you tell me more about that? So that's where I mean, back to my earlier point of like providing value in a engaging way to where people like they'll legitimately want to follow along. And just, I make fun of myself during that flip. Like, I screwed up on a few things, but I want to document that because it might help someone down the road.
Fantastic. Ryan, Pennsylvania, give us some maybe good advice on what are you doing? How are you actually growing your own personal wealth using this real estate machine?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm diving in with rentals as well. I bought my first one, I think, my second year in the business. It was actually my listing that I had under contract twice. And it fell out for, not good reasons. Like, it was all good. And then I pitched it to all my investors that I had at that time, which was, I think, 7 or 8. And no one wanted it. And the numbers just made sense. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get it. I always wanted to buy one and get into real estate investing. So that kind of, was able to get my way in. And then since then, my niche is I buy a lot of half doubles. So my theory on that was, if a duplex is going for $250, but half a duplex is going for $89, well, if I get 2 of them, I'm saving, I'm going to save, maybe 70 grand on it. So I kind of went that direction. And I know it's, difficult because you have attached neighbors. But typically, if I get into something, I always introduce myself to the neighbors, get phone numbers, just, hey, if they're working too loud, let me know, anything like that, just to break the ice. And then I always follow up with it if they know someone that wants to rent it, right? So again, it's just putting myself out there for them. But I'm a firm believer in what both the other agents spoke about, as far as get involved with what you know. So I'm a firm believer in that as well. And we are experts in real estate. So I just go with that. And then when I'm talking to investors, I'm able to speak very fluently on the property. And I have a rule. Anything I purchase, unless a partner brings it to me, I always give out to my investors first. And I've done it where I've given it to investors. Like, the last duplex I bought, I took about 5 investors who were actively looking, and none of them wanted it. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to give it 3 days. It's been on market. I ended up getting a really good deal. And I just told them all about it. Like, hey, I bought it, and just take them through the process, because some of them were newer investors. Some of them were vested. They just didn't believe that, could cash flow. So I took them through and showed them numbers afterwards, just to ensure that trust with them and, knowledge of, hey, I know what I'm talking about when we're walking through this from exact experience. But I'm a firm believer in that. And I dabble, in the stock market and stuff, but EXP is really the only stock I own. There's a couple hot tips I get once in a while that aren't hot tips. But I'm a firm believer, if you can get into a property, get into it. Even if you're going to house hack, I have an agent going through now, and they're going to house hack into a 4-unit with their FHA loan and cash flow on their first property they own. Because originally it started as they contacted me when they were going to be looking at a property. I was like, why don't you get a multi-unit? You want to be an investor, but you're saying it's years away. You could do it right now. And they're like, oh, wow. Yeah, let's do that now. So I would tell anyone, if your first house could be a house hack and get invested, have 2 to 4 units here. So without being commercial.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a believer in that.
Awesome. What I'm hearing is everybody saying, invest in what you understand. And I love the fact that, you're operating from the principle that you are there for your clients first. Your clients get first dibs on it. And then if it makes sense, you go after it if nobody picked it up. So that is great. We have a question in the chat from Deborah. She asked us, what's the 4 accounts that I can share for myself? I'm not sure if anybody does it differently. I make sure I get paid first. 15% of the paycheck is going from every deal goes to the taxes. 50 goes to operational costs to support the team, the agents, the marketing, and etc. And then 35% I take from that each check and I put it in an investment account. That investment account is actually just a holding company savings. And once we have 25, 30% of down payment for the next acquisition, we purchase that. And anybody in the office who is willing to come in with a marginal amount of down payment contribution to a down payment, and I'm talking about marginal, they become partners with me. So, but anyways, that's an interesting thing that we've done. But if anybody needs to know a little bit more, reach out. I'm happy to share and expand on that. Gentlemen, do we have Mary, or Mary didn't make it? Mary Ribeiro, are you here?
Mary didn't make it today.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Gentlemen, share with me, where is the biggest growth in your business and personal life came from? What did you had to do, or what are you continuing to do right now as an experienced, successful ICON agent with EXP, successful partner in your family, a spouse? Where is that biggest growth? What are you doing daily to move that margin? What practices you apply? High level, don't go deep, but give us that. Everybody needs to hear that. Let's say, I don't know, Brian, Florida, please.
Yeah. Hey, no, thank you. Can I wrap up the last part of those 4 things you said that on, having different buckets to put your money in? One thing I did not do until about 4 or 5 years ago is form an LLC. And so I did that. It's pretty cheap to do that. So if you're out there and you're getting started in the business, when you get to the point you can pay yourself, for example, I pay myself $50,000 a year as a salary. And then whenever I take a dividend distribution in the month, I do that out of my business account, like you mentioned. Well, I didn't understand that until 4 or 5 years ago, that you save on the self-employment tax. And it probably saves, depending on, your volume, $15,000 to $20,000 a year in taxes. So that was a big deal. So I would suggest, once you kind of get going, form an LLC, hire somebody to help you with some of the bookkeeping, but something that's definitely, been a tax saving benefit, which we all like to save on taxes, right?
Definitely.
What I would say is I kind of jumped into YouTube about 3 or 4 years ago. And so I'm in Central Florida. I'm in Lakeland, right between Tampa and Orlando. So my channel is like living in Lakeland, Florida. And so I'm starting to get, after a few years, some traction on people wanting to move into the area, watching my videos and this and that. So, but my point in telling you that is that, YouTube is owned by Google, second largest search engine. And so here's what I'm seeing my business pick up the last 2 or 3 months, which is great, is I'm getting found on ChatGPT, which it's pretty amazing. So they're finding me on that, putting in different searches. And I would tell you, I believe, I don't know a lot about chat. However, they're what they do is they scrape the internet and they, it grabs content, right? So I think it's grabbing a lot of my stuff from YouTube, some of my Google reviews I've got, which I've been, doing those for 4 or 5 years too. And just, I think it's a combination of things, but all of a sudden I'm getting good leads calling me as a preferred agent from chat, which I think it's all AI and it's all just kind of coming up. So, man, getting online, getting reviews, posting YouTube videos, getting on Google, so important to stay in for the future so you can pull up whenever somebody's searching for an agent in your area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks for sharing. Yeah, YouTube and the content's being dragged to AI platforms like chat. Fantastic. Ryan in Alberta, maybe the same question to you. What are you doing to continue to be successful in your life? And I'm talking about personal plus business. And where do you have to do the most work in order to accelerate the other one or the other?
I think high level is how can I be the best dad to my son? Like, if you want to talk about like a golden star, like if I wake up every day and know that that's kind of my goal, then the decisions that I get faced with or the stuff that gets thrown at me in a day, the answer becomes, fairly clear. That's more personal. Business wise, it's more of like, how can I assure folks that I've worked with that no doubt in their mind, I'm their real estate guy. And whether that be firming up current relationships, like we all have, whether it's like my chiropractor, I have a chiropractic guy. Like, he is my guy. I don't care what happens, I'm going to him. I have my accountant. My accountant is my accountant. Like, that's how I deem him to be. And we all like do this in other businesses and other industries. Like, we have our people that we go to. And I just want to think about like, how can I be a lot of people's real estate guy? Whether they walk into an open house and they meet another agent, they're just like, well, Ryan's my guy, so I'll just contact him. And so that's kind of my golden star for business. So those are my two kind of answers to that.
If you would change position of those, how you ask which question you ask first, how can I be the best dad for my son versus how can I find a way to be everybody's real estate agent? If you actually would replace them and switch them, do you think it would be just as effective? Would you be able to exceed in your personal life if you ask the question, how can I be everybody's agents first?
Yeah, I think I know what you're asking there. And my answer to that would be no. Because, if I think forward 20 years from now, like, I'm not going to be regretting really working hard on my business. I would regret missing time with my kid, with my family, giving him a good life. And so if I put that to the front, then I think everything else takes care of itself. And also, I think that automatically kind of aligns how I structure my day. And I think it also aligns how I deal with stuff. Like, if anyone wants like a time management hack, like I love the four quadrants of time management. And that essentially, it's just 4 quadrants. It's very simple to kind of go through. You can Google it, but I try to have everything in what's called quadrant 2, where yes, it's important, but it's not urgent. And we all know those agents where they deem everything to be in what is called quadrant one, which is important and urgent. Everything is a fire. Everything is like priority one. And I think if I put real estate in front of family, in front of personal, then everything would be a quadrant one. And I think that's where a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of feeling hectic. We all know those agents that are like, you get into a deal with them and you're like, oh my gosh, here we go. Because they deem everything to be quadrant one. And I don't think that's right for our clients. I don't think that's right for personal development. So I always try to think like, yes, this is important, right? But I can do my own thing first and deal with it, when I'm able to. So I don't know if that answers your question, Serge, but that's kind of how I think of things.
1000%, I agree. And thank you for expanding on that. Hopefully people are understanding that you have to, first of all, put on your own oxygen mask. Then you have to make that why something that would be non-negotiable, which is your son. And at the end of the day, once you do that, you know that you have to show up the best version for your client. So therefore, that's fantastic. Ryan, where are you doing most of the work right now to become successful in life and personal life and in business?
Yeah, it's a deep question. I was just reflecting on it as these guys are both speaking, and going through my day to day, and I'm a heavy task oriented person, so I have a notes on my phone, and as a task pops up, whether it's from a client, whether it's something personal, I put it on there for, if it's obviously a calendar event, I add it to my calendar. But if it's a task that has to be completed, it could be anything from, I don't know, getting the occupancy ordered for a deal, all the way down to, a meeting with my admin, all the way to making sure I take my son with me at least one day a week. He goes to work with me. So I make sure I orient all the tasks that are fun for that specific day. But it's mostly like most of my business, like I said, priors and focus is reaching out to my current database. The last 2 years, over 80% comes from sphere of influence, whether it's past clients, friends, friend referrals, family referrals. So I focus heavily on that. And it's really just touching base with, anything that's going to keep us in common. Like I mentioned the sports earlier, but it also goes all the way down to, my wife lays out the calendar for berry picking. Any of the clients I know have small kids, I'll send it to them like, hey, blueberries are in, we're taking our son this day, and just connecting with them about real life, not real estate. I know, like what Ryan was just explaining, you want to be their realtor guy. And for me, it's like when I interact with them during business, I know I'm their guy just from our interaction, where now I just have to touch base with them and bring up, hey, blueberry picking, strawberry picking, whatever it's going to be, and put that in front of them just in case they do forget about me. They know, oh, Ryan, that's my guy. He's the realtor. Great. He's telling us about this. Perfect. Or if anyone's buying from, because like I mentioned prior as well, we're a blue collar area. So we get a lot of transfers from all over the country for the factories. And I'll send them a list of restaurants. Hey, check out these restaurants. This is my favorites here. Here's what I like from this one. I send it over to them and get personal with them, So that's a big, heavy focus, is just making contacts every day. And it could be anything. Listen, nobody's perfect. I could send one message all the way to, 100 that day. It just really depends on the structure of my day. And again, to hit the important factor is the allocation of time for my son. That's number one. Our mornings and our nights. I mean, I would say most mornings he's with me, and most bedtimes he's with me. Those are, precious moments, I believe. And I think I've heard it from a lot of parents that these are the golden years and they fly by fast, so don't miss them. So I really try to be present on these moments, because again, I mean, man, my guy just turned 4 10 days ago. So it's flew by those first couple of years. So yeah, it's just that's where I'm focusing all my time though, would be touching base with my sphere and making sure my time is allocated for my son, and then my task list to keep me on track. Because I'm a very basic person. To me, it's back to the basics. If you do the work, the results will show up. If you plant the seed now, they may not buy now. They may not sell now, but you plant the seed and stay in front of them. And for me, it's not about real estate. I know give me an example. If you ever go shop for a car, I mean, man, you're just getting pummeled with stuff. So when I shop, I have a great dealership and I just send them an email. Hey, here's exactly what I want. Let me know when you have it. And they know, don't contact me otherwise. I don't care what sales going on. I don't care about anything. You can contact me about other stuff, which is great, but not other trucks I'm not interested in. So I'm a firm believer in that because I would want to put myself on the other side of the perspective there, of the spectrum. And I want to make sure I'm not bothering someone all the time with that. And there's so many different ways to view that. I know a lot of agents like stay in front of them, get them, you have to be present. And the way I take that is I'm going to relate to them and with them on common areas. And I find it, I find it doesn't matter. So that's my focus.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan. Guys, we're getting close to the end here. We got about 9 minutes left. I'm going to hit you with one more question. First of all, I guess maybe does any panelist have an interesting question to other panelists here that they would like to ask? All right, I'll take that as a negative. Let's move on. Last one. And I'm going to open this one to whoever maybe wants to speak to it first. What cost have you paid to be in this business, to be successful, that no one talks about?
I'll jump on it. It's availability. My wife accepts, and every agent's different, and I respect any point of view of this as well. But for me, it's availability. And like I was saying, my wife accepts when we go on vacation, I'm only working 20% of the time. But when I'm home, I'm mostly available, I'd say, 80% of the time. So that number, in my perspective, you still have to be available because that client will go somewhere else because the home of their dreams just popped up. You're not answering your phone. They're in a panic. They don't want to miss it. So even if that 20% is me answering that phone call and send them to another agent to go look at it, that's simple. It could be text messaging, but it's still, I still work 20% of the time while I'm away because it is a demanding business and you must make yourself available. There's so many ways we can lose clients. And for me, being on vacation is not an acceptable one. We travel a lot. We like to go on a lot of vacations and get out and reset. So I make myself available. And to me, it's mandatory. I'll get up earlier, get on the computer, do what I have to do email-wise, and I'll stay up a little bit later and knock out some emails as well and just get it done. But yeah, it's the availability part. I mean, for me to be successful, my point of view is you have to be available or else they will go elsewhere. They're not going to miss their house because you're at the beach, and they're in the snow trying to buy their dream home. So.
Thank you, Ryan. Brian, what costs have you paid to be successful?
I got to piggyback on Ryan. I think availability is very, very good. When I first got in the business, a lot of open houses, in weekend, evening work, a lot of that. But I love, by the way, the other two Ryans, how you guys have got it figured out not to sacrifice your family over this business. I'll throw that out there. Same thing, was a very present dad. And so that's awesome. You guys got that figured out very young. So that's the most important thing. Absolutely.
Awesome.
But yeah, seriously, it is, man. I'm so glad to hear that because I'm the older guy here. So it's good to hear young agents get that figured out early on. But availability is, I'm kind of along with Ryan, man. I'm always available. However, I'll say this again, later in the business, these are my boundaries I've set up. And again, everybody's different. Everybody's life's different. I'm going to be available in the morning, 8 a.m. to probably 6 p.m. Every day I'm hitting the gym at 4:30, 5 o'clock for about an hour. I may text you, but after 6 o'clock, I'm not going to have any more conversations. And again, my kids are mostly gone. We got one at home. Now, unless I'm negotiating a deal, then I will absolutely have a conversation. So, but after 6, it can probably wait till the next day. I do have a full-time assistant. Now that's conversations, but as far as jumping on when I get home after dinner, maybe a little bit of emailing, follow up, 30 minutes, something like that. We'll definitely do that. And then Sunday is my Sabbath. I'm a person of faith, and it can be whatever day you choose, Saturday, Sunday. But Sunday, I may text back if it's really important, but I'm not going to have any phone conversations. Again, if I'm negotiating a deal, if it's a do or die, you have to be available. Other than that, it's a boundary I've set up, and I'm just not gonna do it. And if they can't work within those parameters, they're probably not your clients anyways, if that makes sense. So that's kind of my take on it.
Thank you, Brian. Brian T.
I think Ryan T already went first, but yeah, I would absolutely agree. Like the cost, two things pop into my mind. The availability. I think that's a feature, not a bug of this business. Like even on vacation, I still want to be available because I know that some people, if the house pops up, I need to have someone covering for me, and I still need to be engaged. But a cost that comes to my mind is I've burnt so much time and quite a bit of money trying to be more than where my skill sets are actually rooted in. Meaning, like, when I was a part of a big team, I was in a leadership role, helping grow that team, and I always just had friction in my soul of like, I don't love this. There's this, I think, this misconception in our industry where if you're a top producing agent, then you should start a team or you should be in a leadership role or something like that. So I left that role and immediately, that was years of time and effort and energy that I just let go of because I knew that wasn't exactly where my skill sets aligned. Second to that, I was part owner of a real estate coaching company for a couple of years. And spent so much time and energy because I thought that was kind of like the noble thing to do. Like, I want to, build another business and be successful outside of just being a realtor. But when I took a hard look at things, I'm like, well, I make most of my money and I have the most enjoyment just helping people buy and sell real estate. And I think that's okay. Like, I don't think everyone needs to start a team. And if you actually truly want to be the most profitable and have the most time, well, maybe just being a solo agent, maybe having one admin or something like that, that's probably your best course. So that was years of time, energy, and money invested that I just pulled the plug on. And I think that's okay. And I hope that resonates with maybe someone in the crowd too. Like, you don't always have to continue to chase the shiny object. I think if you find what you're best at, like, that's okay doing that too. So.
Thank you, Ryan from Alberta. Appreciate that perspective. And guys, it's 9:43. We're at the end of our conversation. I had a fantastic experience listening and learning from all three panelists. Is there anybody who would like to say any final words? Brian Smith, I think we're done. Guys, thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to running into all of you at hopefully EXPCon in Vancouver. Please hit me up there if you are coming. Maybe we got some friends from the States that will drop in and from around the world. So, but yeah, guys, what a pleasure. Keep grinding, keep growing outside the business, keep building yourself as a higher self. Once you identify the fact that you have to put on your own oxygen mask first, everything else around you start to grow. The energy changes. People start to be more attracted to you in the sense that they draw to you. We all operate on energy. So that is my suggestion. So yes, grow first and the rest will follow. Thank you, guys. Appreciate everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. If you're watching this on YouTube, smash that like button. We'll see you here next Friday.